did day one go?
I think there was a lot of good out there. Certainly, one side's always going to typically get the better of the other side, and that's just the balance that you got to play throughout training camp. But more than anything, just the things that we can control. That's what we're looking at, especially early on. Just the energy, the attitude, the effort, guys communicating, getting all 11 out there on the same page. And so there was a lot of good things, and certainly there's a lot of things from an execution standpoint that we have to clean up.
Does the offense doing push-ups mean the defense had a better day?
Yeah, so we had a competition period, a third down period, where there were 7 reps, and the defense won that handily.
Will that be kind of a mainstay of camp? You know, whether it's red zone one day or whatever?
Yeah, we'll have one today in the red zone.
Matt, what do you like about Keyshawn in the slot?
There's a lot to like about him. First of all, just he's got the athletic ability that you look for in a nickel corner, and you know, he's when he's been given opportunities, he's made plays for us with the ball in his hands, having tight coverage. I love the way he competes, and just, you know, it's just more or less just getting those reps so that he is spot on in terms of what's expected of him, whether it's in the run fits or, you know, owning his leverages, and that's something that we're always going to challenge him with.
Man, how hard is it to throw those deep balls into that wind that you were going into yesterday?
Was there wind out there?
One club.
Huh?
One club wind.
Okay. Yeah. Was it that bad?
Yes.
Was it? Okay. Well, I didn't notice it.
Well,
Sorry, Rob.
Sorry.
Jordan did have some problems with some of the deep balls. It seemed like maybe they got caught up in the wind. I guess if you didn't think the wind was a big deal, is it troublesome that some of those balls weren't exactly where he wanted them?
Yeah, I think that you know, you're always going to want some throws back as a quarterback. I think there were a couple that I think he probably should have put a little bit more air under, and you know, that's just part of it early on in camp, and we're never going to overreact to anything on the first day.
Aaron Jones was saying yesterday that in the past he's been more of a lead by example guy, but now he feels kind of a responsibility to be a little more vocal. How much of have you noticed any kind of difference during the OTAs or whatever in him in that regard?
Oh, no question. You always saw him doing it the right way, and now it's great he feels more comfortable standing up in front of the group, and I think that takes time for a lot of players, and certainly he's a guy that, you know, I would say he does things the right way. You guys have heard me talk about him at length in terms of just what he does on the field, what he does off the field, what he does as a father and as a son, and just I think everybody in that locker room holds him in the highest regard.
Matt, what'd you think of what Rudy did for you last year, just being able to come in, you know, right at the start of the season and end up making, you know, an impact both on defense and special teams to earn another opportunity this year?
Yeah, he did a great job. Certainly had some very big plays for us in the back end with a couple of interceptions. And I think for him, it's just more or less being more consistent as a player. And I think that's something that all these players have to battle, is just the consistency and making sure you know what to do so you can go out there and do it over and over and over again.
Sean Ryan's a high draft pick for you. Last year, obviously, didn't have the rookie season that he wanted on or off the field. Where's he at right now, do you think?
I think he's in much better shape than he was a year ago. I think it's pretty evident, and hopefully he can build upon that and continue to learn and grow within our offense. And you know, it's just going to come down to his ability to go out there and compete and do it on a consistent basis.
When a guy has his rookie season end with a 6-game suspension, is it a clean slate after that? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I think every year is a new year for all these guys, and hopefully he learned from that experience. And you don't always learn from your successes. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to fall on your face a little bit, and it's about how you respond to that. But I do think he's responded the right way, and I'm excited about just his approach that he's taken. And I mean, he's locked in the meetings, but ultimately he's got to go do it on the field.
How do you get Alex Magoo up to speed? Just because the quarterback has to know so much, and he has to run the offense, and maybe obviously he's been here long enough to know it, like Clifford and Dan have.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I think it's going to be, you know, incumbent upon himself to make sure he's studying every night and, putting all those hours in just to try to get up to speed as quickly as possible. I think, we have a lot of resources, whether it's Tom or Connor Lewis, to help him along the way. And but he is a smart guy. I think he's played enough ball, which is encouraging. Just getting that experience in that other league, and playing at a pretty high level, obviously being the MVP. And I think there's nothing more important than getting that experience, especially at that position, because a lot of guys, we've seen it with Jordan. I mean, doesn't have a ton of game reps, and I don't care what league you're playing in. The more you play, usually the more comfortable you feel. And he's been exposed to professional football, and it's, how can he take what we're coaching here and apply it to things maybe he's done in the past.
Are there really enough snaps to go around for all four of those guys? Can you do this off camp?
I think it's definitely a challenge, no question about it. And those guys are going to have to spend time, post practice, getting those reps on air if in order for them to progress. And but yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
Matt, what do you need to or hope to see from Quay Walker and Devontae in a second year of maturity and growth?
I think we've seen a lot of maturity from both of those guys, and hopefully they can keep stacking the days and keep progressing along the way and getting better and better and better. But I think just their overall approach, I think from year one to year two, obviously what to expect coming into it, which is tough for a lot of rookies. I think they're just almost in survival mode, and but I think that both those guys have shown some progress, thus far.
Hey Matt, did you have Jaden Reed start out doing everything, lining up at every single position, or is that a process where you work towards that?
I think it's more a process where we work toward it, but he's very capable. I think, that kind of, I don't know what the word is, it gets kind of over-exaggerated, because I think that within our offense, there's enough flexibility within the formations that you have to know basically every spot, because the way we teach is more conceptually based. So, hey, here's a 2x2 concept, here's a 3x1 concept, knowing that I could fit anywhere within that concept. Now, where you see these guys take maybe the next step is, okay, I know where the F fits within that concept, but can I, within the same day, go play Z or X? And that's where it kind of gets a little bit more complex, I would say. But ultimately, they'd have to know the concept and could be at any of those spots. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys or not. But
in that concept, so how many times during camp is he going to run each of those things? Is it possible he might only run those a couple times during the whole season?
Yeah, it's a challenge. And I think that's always one of the things that you have to evaluate as a coach is sometimes less is more. And, what's too much? We're always going to try to push and throw a bunch of stuff at these guys. But it's amazing, you going through some of the cut-ups from OTAs, and you think you may have repped a play a bunch of times, and you look on there and you repped it 3 times. So it is challenging. Certainly we get a lot more reps, I would say, in the walkthrough or jog-through portions, whether it's pre-practice, whether it's, in our evening sessions. But there's still nothing like those live full-speed reps.
Is there a number you'd like to have, like 10, 15 at a certain play before you feel good about putting in the game plan?
I would say no. I mean, you're never going to have enough. So you just got to try to, as quickly as possible, figure out what these guys are doing well and where they need more work, because there might be a play out there that we're not having a lot of success with, but is going to come up at some point throughout the course of the season, and you're going to just, continue to work at it. And that's one of the things we challenge our whole team with, is getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And you might not have success at it right away, but it's like learning any new skill. It's never easy when you first start something out. I'm on my kids all the time about shooting left-handed layups, and they never want to do it. But I'm like, hey guys, it's okay. You can miss 100 in a row, but hopefully that 101st one you'll make it, and then you'll make 2 in a row, 3 in a row, but that's life. That's how you get better.
2 more weeks. Have you seen Van Ness picking things up pretty quickly? Speaking of throwing things at people.
Yeah, I think it's pretty early to tell. I mean, we've had 1 practice in, and like I said earlier, never going to overreact to anything, and it's just about him continuing to get those reps, and when you're not in the game, getting those mental reps. And I think that's tough for everybody to do, is staying so focused on when you're not in the game or into practice, and trying to learn from the other guys.
Every training camp is different because every roster is different, but did you notice anything different about the vibe or the energy with Jordan leading the offense?
Yeah, I think just different personalities, and I know he's excited. I know his teammates are excited for him. He's well respected in our locker room, and I think he's earned that, quite frankly. And it's just his consistent approach and the work that he puts in. Those guys see that, and yeah, I can promise you, everybody wants him to have a lot of success this year.
Matt, with Van Ness, do you just keep him outside for a while, and then eventually you'll kind of experiment with kicking him inside, on whether it's at defensive end or whatever?
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that kind of organically occurs over the course of camp and into the preseason games and into the course of the season. I think it's always going to be pretty fluid in terms of how you adjust and move people around and try to. I think there's a lot of benefits to that when you don't know where a guy's going to align. It creates some challenges from an offensive perspective, and but I think it just kind of naturally happens the more you practice and try to get these guys in different situations.
Coach, I know it's early, but what do you like about your tight ends, Musgrave and Kraft, and early on, and what do you expect to get out of them this season?
Oh, they're both very intelligent guys they're not afraid of work. I mean, we almost have to protect those guys from themselves at times. I'm walking out of the building, or not out of the building, but out of a staff meeting last night after all the meetings, and they're still in here talking about things, walking through things, and so they're not afraid of the work. They're going to put it in. Got a lot of confidence in John Dunn and being able to articulate the expectations and the standards of that position and what's expected of those guys, and they've got skill sets. Obviously, they both have. They're very different in their own way. Obviously, Musgrave can flat fly, and Tucker's a big body guy that I think has got a lot of versatility to him. So it's going to be fun to watch these guys grow along the way.